Yep, 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 yep. So, the topic today, all about vibes. Vibes. What they are, why they are not only important, but I'm showing you guys that it's essentially life itself, how you can approach life, how you can use it to basically color your life, to enhance your perception, to just come to these realizations that vibes are life itself. Vibes are how we communicate. Vibes are how we get things done. Vibes are how we stay alive, essentially. How we want to perceive others, how we want others to perceive ourselves. It's a very, very big, very mostly encompassing, if not all encompassing topic. So, essentially, what we have here is this situation that, it's so big. Where do I dive in first? So the concept originally came to me yesterday because all of these connections were happening, where all of these good things were happening at the school jobs, and fifth grade having their graduation and things like that. We're gonna get some good lighting in this place. Somewhat decent. Okay. So having all these wholesome moments, especially with the fifth graders, where it's like, I may never see these kids again, and how do I want to portray, how do I want to express so that it actually impacts them, and it's not just empty words. And by empty words, I mean using the words before the vibe. Basically, it's like the concept of, if you've ever heard the quote about comics and comedians, where comics, they say things, comics, they say funny things, right? They say the words and it's just like, okay, that's funny. But comedians, this is next level stuff, comedians, they say things funny. Just as a simple example, where you could say like, Jerry Seinfeld is a comic, and then you have, whether it be Jim Carrey or what's his name, Brian Regan, where they could, or Robin Williams, they could literally be talking about anything, and they've really stretched those boundaries where it's like, okay, I'm going to talk about the most simple, the most mundane, the most random thing, but the way that they say it, the way that they portray it, that makes them a step above. And what's going on there? The vibe, right? They could literally be talking about buttered toast, or just, oh yeah, I saw a bird, perched on a fence. But the way that they say it, it could boom. It can really make the setting, the scene, the situation explode, and you're having an absolute blast because they are making something that would otherwise be boring or routine and taking you out of the boring and routine and taking you to a next level. So I realized that was going on when I went to 2 fifth grade graduations, 2 different schools, and the speakers, which were essentially the principals and the fifth grade teachers, they were trying really, really hard with their words. They even wrote it down. You could tell that they were reading off paper. That's a wag of the finger right there, but it just goes to show you that they were not catering to the vibe, they were catering to the words. Oh, let's have these really special, impactful words be spoken to the children so that they'll remember it for the rest of their lives. I hate to break it to you, teachers, educators, parents. It's really a lot less about the words. Now, the words do matter. Like, care about the words that you're saying. But it doesn't matter nearly as much as the vibe. I can tell you straight up, and I'm not the only one, but growing up, and, you know, especially in elementary school where, you know, your mind is kind of just developing, and I don't think I remembered it. I could probably try and come up with some things, but I really don't remember anything that any teacher, any educator, any administrator said in elementary school. Like, in words, I don't know. I really don't know. But if I talk about their vibe, their state, their aura, what they're emitting in terms of their essence, right? Their soul, their core essence. They're emitting their vibe. I can remember that like they're right in front of me. Like, yeah, that's you. Yeah, that's Miss Joyce. Yeah, that's Miss Johnson, etc., etc. Where it's like, right? Like, even if I, you know, met them, you know, as it is, like 20 plus years later, it's like, you taught, you know, at blah, blah, blah elementary school, didn't you? You're Miss blah, blah, blah. You're Mr. blah, blah, right? Like, I remember you, right? So, those are examples of how it plays out in real life. And especially if you're dealing with younger people, it's like younger people and people who are more in tune, like with their emotions, with their vibe, with their soul. It's like, if you're trying hard with your words, if you're trying hard with your presentation, whether it be like, you know, you're being really purposeful and intentional with your body language, with your words, with your clothing, with your eye contact, etc., etc. Like, if you're in a mental state about it, people who are more in tune with themselves, with their vibe, with their soul, they're going to pick up on it, and they're going to have their red flags, the red light flashing, and saying, like, things along the lines of inauthentic, faker, try hard, what's this guy trying to do, what's this guy trying to scheme, what's this guy trying to scam, what's this guy trying to hide, etc., etc., etc. So, therefore, what do we do with this information? Well, step one is acknowledge it. Not only is it here, is it real? What is the extent that you have been denying its existence? And if you've been denying it completely, okay, fair enough. Start acknowledging it straight up. Seeing it for what it is. Like, okay, you know, I thought it was all about my presentation, about what I'm saying, about, you know, what I can offer, this, that, and the other thing. And you're caught up in the mind, you're caught up in the standards of things, and realize that it's really not about that. It's really not about that, much about that at all. So, let's get in line with that. So, and this, I'm going to preface this is a compliment. It's children and it's women for the most part, right? I'm a man, I'm an adult man, I'm an exception in that sense, where for the most part, it's the people who are in tune, more naturally in tune with themselves, their soul, their core essence, their vibe, that can pick up on things like this. And it's really interesting to be, well, it's a blessing to be working with children and to see that dynamic happen, where the average adult, especially if it's like not their mom or dad or relative or teacher or whatever, the average adult trying to interact with a kid, and I'm seeing it like, in my perspective, and I'm like, this is cringy. They don't know how to talk to a child. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to interact. They don't know how to express themselves. And it's kind of awkward, kind of cringe. But I keep to myself, obviously, unless it gets to a point of like being either unsafe or being like too much, then I step in and it's just like, okay, let's, and I bring it up in a subtle way so no one gets embarrassed. But to redirect, to change the subject, to keep things light, to keep things moving, sometimes you gotta make that happen with adults that just aren't reading the room, that aren't really understanding the dynamic, the underlying dynamic, the undercurrent, the vibe, right? All of this is synonymous. And again, look, it just is what it is. People who are more in tune in that sense, more so women and children, but, for people who meditate, for people who get healthy, mentally, emotionally, physically healthy, you start to get more in tune. Who knew, right? You're tuning up, right? It's like taking your car or an instrument into the shop. You're getting tuned up, right? That's what I've been doing for 10 plus years, where it's like, oh, I will feel better, I will do better, I will think better if I get healthier, physically, if I get healthier mentally, emotionally. Sounds good to me. Sign me up, right? It doesn't have to be spiritual. It can be mechanical in that sense. And then the grand irony of it all is you can get healthier. You could just get on this regimen. But your starting point, your integration point, your incision point was, mental, where it's just like, okay, I want to get healthier so I can be more in tune. I hear being more in tune is a good thing to do. So let's do it. Let's get more in tune. And then you actually do it. You get healthier and you're like, oh, I'm like feeling myself more. I'm like seeing things better. I'm becoming slightly less of a pessimist, more of an optimist. I'm becoming slowly and surely more thankful because I can see the beauty in the smaller things. Oh wow, like life is a gift. Like I can die at any point and life is so fragile and precious, and this is actually amazing. Like I get a chance at life and then I go to sleep and then I wake up and then I get another chance at life and I can keep improving. This is a waking dream and I can keep improving, getting better and better until I will die at some point, but like I'm getting another chance. It's not even every morning. It's like every moment, every second. It's like, oh, again, whoa, right now, I'm still alive. Like, let me do the things, right? Let me make the amends. Let me make the calls. Like, let me call my friends or call the people who, I want to make amends with. I want to be friends with again. Like, let me hug these people. Like, let me care about these people. Let me care about myself more. Like, I get another chance. I get another chance. Right? Every moment. This took a wholesome turn. But yeah. So that getting healthier, just all being in line with the vibe. The vibe. Getting your vibe tribe going. and it starts with you. Getting that vibe in acknowledgement, and then getting that vibe integrated within you slowly and surely. It gets easier, but you gotta do it every day. But it gets easier, but you gotta do it every day. Feel it out. Think it out. Do it out, right? Feel about it, think about it, do about it. I gotta head in to my job. Probably gonna change the channel name, because I was gonna say like, oh, this is blah 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 blah, blah 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 blah, being the channel name. I think it's gonna be something relating to vibes, to be honest, because vibes are really actually everything. And I've given you entry points, incision points, integration points, but in reality, like, there's so much more to it. There's so much more to this vibe, this soul, this aura, that I'm honestly just scratching the surface. So I've given you a lot of content. Think about it, feel about it, do about it. Peace out.